Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Kimani Mbugua as always, and you're watching Broken News. So now, as I remember, this time I was sitting on the toilet, and there was this, like supplies in the toilet. So there's I started seeing. Okay, I'd watched the movie Extraction before. The Extraction had just come out. Remember, Extraction is a really good movie, and so there was this exchange of prisoners between the father who's in jail, and he's looking for his son, and then he sends these mercenaries to get his son back. And so there's this, have you watched Extraction?
No, but that's why I'm looking at you like this.
Oh, that's why you look at me like, oh, what is he talking about? Okay, you should watch Extraction. It's a really good movie. So there's a father who is in jail, and then I think he sends for his son to be, he sends these mercenaries to get his son, and then there's this whole exchange that's going on. And so I had now in my mind, the narrative that was playing in my mind was that now President Uhuru was this father who was sending mercenaries to bring his son back. Kimani now his son back. and now the mercenary that was sent was Farid. Kimani is now what's his name?
In the movie.
Is it Jared? No, Butler. Chris Hemsworth. I think it's Chris Hemsworth is the lead in the movie. So like Chris Hemsworth is now Farid Kimani, and now they're coming to get me. So there are these narratives that just exist in your head, but then you try and like look for signs that would relate to them in real life, and then now you start responding to those. By that time you're already mad because now people are like, I'm calling for it, and I'm like, I saw you at the hospital, and it's like, dude, no, bro, that's not me.
But really, is it that the weed triggered this, or what really made you, as in what made you mad? I don't know if is it correct to call someone mad?
Okay, let's just say this. Remember, my therapist, I sent her the podcast, and she was like, the word mad is like it what is it called? What's this famous word? It marginalizes a certain group of people with mental illnesses. But I don't necessarily agree with that narrative, because it's like we're trying to. I don't think using sanitary language is going to help with the situation. Really, I don't think it helps anyone, because it's my experience. I'm the one who was mad. I don't mind somebody telling me you were mad, because it's like. That's my lived experience, if I can use that term. So I don't mind it, because even mad people don't mind being called mad.
Oh, really?
If you go to Mathare, half of the people there know that they're mad.
Oh, okay.
So they and that's a magic of going to Mathare, which is, I think, the best. It's such a fantastic hospital. Like if you go to Mathare and come out of Mathare, usually by the time you come out of Mathare, you're like proper. They give you proper treatment at Mathare. So for me, because I got the diagnosis, I wanted to know what caused it, because there could be that I am genetically predisposed to having mental illnesses. So there's that aspect. So there is that genetic factor, that because in my family, my grandmother from my dad's side, my dad's mom had dementia, but towards her sunset years, and so there's that history of mental illness in my family, but from my dad's side. So I think that's okay. We had this talk with the doctor at Mathare, and we kind of wanted to get that history and kind of ascertain whether it could be coming from that. But yes, it was conclusive that I could be genetically predisposed to mental illness, like schizophrenia, psychosis, bipolar. And that's what the doctor diagnosed me with. I remember when she gave me that diagnosis, I was really mad at her, and I was like, and then
people feel like,
yeah,
too big.
Yeah, because usually, she told me that I know it's hard for you to accept, but it's the truth. You could be, genetically predisposed to this, but then again, don't worry. It's something treatable. It's manageable with meds, and for you, as long as you stay out of the drugs. So there's something we wanted to ascertain whether it was drug induced, because usually you can have that, but if you're not using drugs, it remains dormant because there's nothing really to activate it. So then for me, I learned that using weed was the trigger. It was now altering the chemical composition in my brain. And because I already have this genetic predisposition, I would, get thrusted into a world of madness.
It's just weed or any other, like alcohol? Or
No. Alcohol, cigarettes, they don't do anything. They don't do anything to me. But there's a specific class of drugs called psychoactive drugs.
Okay.
Psychoactive drugs.
See, you already.
I know, right? I know. I feel like Joe Rogan right now, because like I've watched a lot of Joe Rogan, talking about mushrooms and all. So you have mushrooms are part of the psychoactive drugs. MDMA. I remember there's one day a friend of ours came to our house, and he was like, I have MDMA, I have pills, you're interested, it's so good. And then my fiancé was like, Kimani,
don't you dare
don't you dare even do that again. I was like, you see this guy, please let him never come back to our house again, because I would not want you to go back to that place that you are in. So for me, I was like, by that time I had already like come out of hospital and I had already recovered. But then I was still like in this, was it really the drugs or was it not really the drugs? So maybe it's just one time, And then I never got to do it. So there's that class of drugs called psychoactive drugs, is MDMA. Weed is also a psychoactive drug. So if you're the chemical composition of your brain, so they alter the chemical composition of your brain, and that's why you're able to see things outside of reality, because your brain is literally rewired into something else. And so I can't do any of those drugs. Even right now, if I smoke weed right now, when I'm here, I'm back to square zero. Like I'm back to that point again. And the doctor told me, like, if you come back, the more your body becomes desensitized. So if you keep taking weed, it's gonna like keep taking you back further, and the harder it will be for you to bounce back. Because the first time I was in Mathare, I stayed for 9 days. The second time I was in Mathare, I stayed for 46 days.
So you can clearly see.
So it's like if I go back again, I'll probably go back for another 80 days, and so it's gonna go like that. So you're going to be now in this period of madness for a prolonged period of time. So I stopped doing psychoactive drugs. Because I realized that the ones that were causing me to do that, to get into that madness. So for me, I can say certainly that it was a weed, because I wasn't using any other psychoactive drug, that is, and so I can say for sure that it's the one that actually caused. So for me, when I hear Steve Simple Boys, vijana tuache mihadarati, it hits different. It hits different.
To watch it. So yeah, you've talked about your fiancé. Are you still together with your fiancé, or what happened? Because in the podcast talk about other even cheating. I was just like, okay.
Oh yeah, no. And unfortunately, we ended the relationship. Well, she ended the relationship because
it was too much.
It was a bit too much for her. Yeah, understandable. Yeah. But before that, before meeting her, I was in another relationship, and I was in this period of, I don't think every relationship comes with its own lesson, like, and so does every experience. So you realize that whatever experience you go through, it's a way of God. God allows it to happen to you.
For you to learn.
For you to learn something. Like throughout all of this, I have learned that God wanted me to see this other world that people go to when they die, so that I can avoid going there. Because what I came to learn after this whole experience, even with my relationships ending, is that it is very important what you believe. What you believe is so important. It is so important to the point that it determines how you respond to everything. So for example, for me, the first time that I got mad, I was an atheist. I didn't believe in God. I had gotten to this point, I felt like
SD is a cult.
I was like, SD is a cult. I felt like, oh no, this was. But we'll have a conversation with SD people. I don't. Please, if you're Adventist and you're watching this and you've been holding a grudge against me, I'm really sorry that happened. But we can have conversations. At that time, I was, yeah. So in that video that you actually see when I was recording that video in my car, I had smoked weed the previous day. So like
you were just like
I was
another world.
I was ranting out because I had started seeing things in this different world, and so for me, even that rant, yes, it was part of it was part of the psychotic experience, and also so I'm really sorry to all of you Seventh-day Adventists, but can we have a real conversation about what we used to believe in, though? Yeah, I hope we can do. Listen to episode number 6 of the Kimani Mbugua podcast. We'll talk about that. Yeah, so all of these crazy things are happening in my head. I'm seeing Farid trying to save me, and then Bob Collymore comes and he's like, so dude, you are going to be the CEO of Safaricom or the CEO of Netflix, and you're gonna get this job. So many things. I think if you want to get a more vivid, clear picture, go listen to the podcast. I'll also be putting out the second episode where I kind of go deeper into those experiences, so that you can kind of see how the mind of a crazy person works. I think I've done a good job at trying to paint a good picture.
Honestly, I'll never. I see someone on the road, I'm like, imagine I won't judge you.
Yeah, don't judge them, because you see someone collecting papers on the road. To you, it seems like that person doesn't know what they're doing, but to them, they're on a mission. I remember I was telling my cousin this. I think this is the point where I started kind of getting better. This is June, July of 2020. There's a time I was going home. I was in town, and I was by this time I had already lost my car because it's been written off and everything. I lost it. So I was going to get a matatu, and I'm on the way to what's this place called? Railways, because I was living on Gong Road. On my way to Railways, I started seeing papers on the road, and then my head was locked like this, and then a part of me was like, ooh, this is a paper, collect this paper, take this one, take the serial numbers on those papers, and then we are going to send you to do some kind of business, whatever, nini. And then the same part of my brain told me bruh, you cannot pick papers. We know we have been mad, but we're not gonna collect this paper. We're not gonna collect papers. And I struggled. I really, really struggled to not pick papers. And I think that's the day now. I started kind of winning the battle. Through now the meds I got at Mathare, they really helped me get better, and I recovered. I recovered in August of 2020, and I went back to work. Although now started working for a different company, who I'm not gonna mention because I'm working for them, and after a year of working for them, I quit, and Okay, so this is gonna be the second episode of the podcast. I'm gonna talk about it. So I went back to Mathare for a second time, but this time it was different. This time it was very, very different. Remember all the experiences I told you that I went through in this different world. So after leaving my job, and this was like after, so this is what happened. My relationship with my ex-fiancé ended, and I was devastated. I was devastated because I was really invested in the relationship, although I had done so many things wrong, and I think I had caused her so much pain that it's understandable that she wouldn't be able to bear with it anymore, and she ended the relationship, and I was so devastated. So I couldn't be able to function at work. I used to come to work and I'm like, this heaviness, this sadness in my heart, like this has ended. I wanted to marry this person. I envisioned a future with them. The devastation of a relationship that has ended, you understand. Everybody who's gone through a breakup, you get how painful it is. So every time I'd show up at work, I wasn't productive, and I felt like I was in a spot. So I decided, let me just quit my job. I had a bit of savings, so I was like, I'm just gonna quit my job, and then it was a leap of faith. Wherever God wants me to go, I will go.
Take it.
And so I quit, and I went on to I pretty much most of the time I was just staying in my house, writing journals. That's when I started writing the book.
Oh, okay.
I started now focusing on writing the book because I needed to bleed out all of these things. I think that's the process of healing. So this is advice. If you've gone through something really, really, really heavy in your life and you want to try and make sense of it, writing your experiences down in a journal or typing it out, it really helps, because it helps you go through and examine that pain. So for me, I wanted to face the pain. I wanted to face the pain of this relationship ending, because this is somebody whom I loved so much, and I wanted to, we had a future plans. We even had a child together, although they didn't make it. And so the ending of that relationship really devastated me, and I got into this really depressed period. So when I went home, I started writing this book, and I started articulating these things in a book. And I told myself, I'm going to finish this book. So I locked myself in my house, and I used to write every day. So that's when now I got introduced to Catholicism on YouTube. I found this fantastic guy called Bishop Robert Barron on YouTube, and he seemed to have like answers to all my questions. And that's when I learned about purgatory. And through and through, as I continued, I became Catholic, and I started growing the faith. I realized, wait, my experience, the world that I was experiencing before, could have been purgatory, because like this is where the souls of people who have died, who have not completed their sainthood journey go. Like you go to purgatory for you to be cleansed of your sins before you go to heaven. And there's also a choice that you can actually choose to go to hell or to go to heaven. And so I decided to smoke weed again to get that experience that I had before. But then this time it was like, I want to experience that again, but now this time with God.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I did, and when it came, now I started having all of those experiences again. That psychosis, that psychotic experience, the spirits of dead people talking to me. I remember there's a chapter in the book that's dedicated to Mzee Jomo Kenyatta, and I have his book over there. That's like, I had this epiphanic experiences with his soul, for me it's real. For me it felt so real because I could hear his voice. In fact, I have t-shirts printed of some things that he used to tell me, like, write this down. And so for me, I decided to write it down because it is what I experienced. And whether people believe it or not, it's what I experienced. I could hear his voice, and I could hear all of these people. So I realized that all of these things that were happening, these were the spirits of dead people who were trying to communicate to me that they needed my prayers and my penances. So if you're a Catholic, I know a lot of Catholics understand this, but maybe Protestants might not agree with this, but there's that teaching of purgatory, that the people in purgatory actually, they depend on your prayers because they can't be pious. They can't be as pious as you are because they have already lost that chance which you have in this world. So the only thing you can do is to pray for the souls of the dead. And so for me, this second time, I wanted to go and pray for all the souls of the dead people that I had encountered. And I wanted to make sure that by the time this psychotic experience ended, I had made peace with all of them. Because I was like, I have experienced the purgatory suffering that they were going through. And I wanted to go back, and if they were still there, like to kind of get out of purgatory with them, because God had allowed me to see this world. Like, remember that moment when on the explosion day when I told you, like, I felt I had died, but I hadn't died physically, but I was mentally, I was in this other world. And purgatory, usually, from my experience, it's a world that's a replica of the world that you lived in, from the moment you were born to the moment you die. And so what happens is God gives you another chance for you to come to your senses, to come and see his love for you. It's like you're not going to go straight to hell, because hell is meant for people. Sinners. Yes, it's sinners, but it's sinners who have chosen to be with the devil. Like it's like, sorry, but I'm gonna get a bit theological here, because now this is now my experience of faith. This is now the kind of material I interact with. That hell is, I think it's G.K. Chesterton who says that the door to hell is locked from the inside, not from the outside. Like, it's like the people who go to hell, they want to be.
You have to knock for someone.
They take themselves there. It's like you get inside and you lock the door from it. So if God is on the other side, you're the one who has locked the door from your side, not him. So it's like, and I got to understand this concept of the suffering in purgatory, in hell, as it's not much of divine vengeance. It's more of spiritual physics. Like, if you throw something up, it will come down. So that's what it is. If you live a life that's promiscuous, there are consequences to that. That's spiritual physics. It's not God punishing you. It's rather
just how life
that's how it is. And God is trying to show you that, yes, it is like that, but it doesn't have to be like that. So in purgatory, you get this chance to relive your life in a way that is in line with God. You get a chance to align your life with God. But then the catch is, you're existing in a completely metaphysical world, and there are so many things that you can do. It's you're free to do anything and everything, but until you get to that point. So you suffer a lot, because hey, I'm telling you, I really suffered. I remember I was peeing on myself. I was, there are times at night I could just pee on myself because the things that I was experiencing were way too much. And being locked in hospital, like being locked in the seclusion chamber, I'm literally shitting on myself, peeing on myself, because it's real suffering. So for me, this second time, I wanted to experience that again, but with God. And like, so I was like, God, I'm gonna hold your hand. And then every soul that I suffered with in purgatory, I'm gonna write their names down. The good thing is, throughout this second period, I was writing everything. So I have diaries that I have here that I wrote everything that the people whom I was speaking to were telling me. And it's gonna be controversial, but I saw a lot of people who had died, who I knew, some whom I just knew from media, like I had just seen them on TV, and they had died, and I just wanted to. I could feel them talk to me, like they would come and tell me, "Hey, look, we have been waiting for this moment. Like you're now, you have the chance to pray for us and give your penances for us, so that we can get out of this suffering." And I was like, "I'm going to go with all of you." So when I got to Mathare the second time, I even started. Now I was writing this book in Mathare. In fact, the doctors were like, "Hey, Kimani, what's wrong with you? Like, are you really mad?" Because the doctor would take the doctor would take my book and read what I had written in the book, and they'll be like, "Hey, are you really a mad person, or what's going on with you?" But I knew for me, I knew that I knew what I was doing. I knew I had to pray for these people. I had to like kind of do this last penance for them, and that's how I got out. Finally, I got out. And the good thing and this is what I've found to be very refreshing about Catholicism, is it's not just about faith, because faith without reason is superstition, and reason without faith is just it's confusion. So for me, I found that I don't just have to hold on to faith and be like, this is purgatory and this is all I'm experiencing. I also have to explain to people medically what is happening to me. So I have to go to hospital and take medicine, because even though the things that I am seeing have a spiritual meaning to them, they're also happening in the physical world it's a material world that needs, there's a certain procedure that if a doctor if a doctor is examining you, they're going to tell you you're suffering through psychosis and this is what's happening to your brain. And so for me, I held on to those two, and that's like faith and reason at the same time. So for me now, I get to really enjoy that, because I'm a really I do love philosophy a lot. I think after I do my undergrad in psychology, I'm gonna major in philosophy with my masters and all, because one of my books that I'm writing is I'm trying to advance a certain philosophy that I'm trying to articulate, and that is the philosophy of the transformation of consciousness. It's like the psychological bit of it and the spiritual bit of it, because there are changes that happen to you when you have faith, and that transformation of consciousness literally is something that has a certain element of its physical implications to it. And so I'm like trying now to advance to advance that theory. So that's going to be my thesis on writing on the principle or the philosophy of the transformation of consciousness. So that's what I've been trying to advance on top of everything else that I'm doing. So that's where I am. Since I released the podcast on Sunday, it's overwhelming. I can't believe it. So many people have called me, and they've been like, "We had no idea you were going through this. Why didn't you say?" Some people are mad. They're like, "Why didn't you tell us?" Like, I was like, it was something really shameful to go through. So even when I got out of Mathare, it was something shameful. Like, I didn't want to tell people that I was at Mathare. So I still had that, stigma. I felt like I was a mad person. I was on TV, and then I became mad. Like, that's a pretty story to tell. But then I realized that it was actually because of a reason, and God has a reason for all of these things to happen. So,
and how is your family with everything that happened?
My family is okay. They've been the most supportive. And you met Seth. She's my big sister. She's been super supportive. Like, she's been with me through all of this from when I told you when I started Nation. So she's like been supporting me throughout, and now she like all of the people in my family. My dad has been really supportive. my mom has been really supportive. I haven't told her that I'm doing this interview, but she texted me last night, actually in the morning at 4 a.m. in the morning, and we're talking about about some experiences in the morning. I was like, really, like my mom has seen me through everything. So like I think she's now become even more attached to me because she has seen like how fragile I was at that point, and now I think I have felt that love and support from my family, my sisters, all of my sisters, all of my cousins. They've been really supportive. My friends, they've been really supportive. I think Larry Mado has been really super supportive, because I remember at one point I ran out of money. My insurance ran out of money, and they did a fundraising with all my friends. And Charles Mado has also been like a rock to me. Yeah, I'm just gonna plug Charles. He's a fantastic lawyer, and so many people. And I don't know if I'm gonna mention all of you guys, but you know yourselves. They know themselves, and they've been really supportive. They were with me in hospital. There's Mwenda, Anthony, George, and the boys club, Trevor, Effie, and all of we usually have a boys club. we call it a boys club. All the people in the boys club, they've been really supportive over all of this time. And in fact, the second time, it's Larry who like got me to hospital. He's like, dude, I think you need to go to hospital and get to be treated, because his cousin works at Mathare. So now it was easy for me to maneuver through the system very quickly and like be admitted very quickly. And and I need to apologize to someone. Maybe I need to apologize to someone. This is maybe I don't have any other way of doing this, but it's Tracy Wanjiro. Tracy, yeah, Tracy Wanjiro. Because last year when I was psychotic, I know Tess is laughing because this is really funny. So she knows what happened during that time, and I'm like, I think maybe I should just take this opportunity to say that, Tracy, I'm really sorry. As you have heard from this interview, if you've watched this, you heard everything that was happening. So it was really hard for me. So I hope you forgive me. Give me a call or whatever. Yeah. So.
Are you going to tell us what you did to Tracy? Or not?
No, I'm not. I'm not going to tell you guys what happened between me and Tracy.
That's between you and Tracy.
It was, yeah, but it had something to do with my psychosis, and she was really upset. Okay. She was really upset. I think.
We'll make sure this gets to Tracy. Don't you worry. She will get in touch with
you. Yeah, she should.
We're living in faith.
Well, I hope it gets to her. Yeah. So Tracy, if you get to see this, I'm really sorry about what happened. It was not my own doing. I was not obviously in mind, but now I am okay.
Do you have meds? You stopped?
No. The meds, you don't take the meds for a very long time, although you go for a review.
Okay.
I'm supposed to go for a review later this week. Although it was like, even the doctor was like, you don't need to come back. It's like, as long as you finish your dosage of medication, it's gonna be okay. So what happens is they give you antidepressants, they give you their antipsychosis meds that they give you, and I think Mathare has the best medication, because I don't think you can get that medication anywhere. Yeah, they really have proper treatment for people with mental illnesses. So as a general word for anybody who's struggling with mental illness, you're not alone. I know a lot of people who've gone through this, and there's a friend of mine who I used to work with at Citizen. He called me, she texted me, and he was like, I went through a similar experience, but I'd never talk about it. So I think it's really bold of you to even share this with the world. So anybody who's gone through that, just know you're not alone. Other people have gone through it. Don't feel stigmatized. Reach out to me. Always on anywhere on my Instagram, my Facebook, whatever. Reach out to me if you're struggling. If you need somebody to talk to, I try to respond as many DMs as I can. And as the podcast goes on, I will keep sharing these things. So please go listen to. Can I plug the podcast?
Definitely.
Yeah, so go listen to the podcast, the Kimani Mbugua podcast. It's on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, Amazon Podcasts, everywhere. It's Google Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast from. Just go look for it, the Kimani Mbugua podcast, or go to my Instagram. I have put a link on the bio for it.
What's your Instagram handle?
I am Kimani Mbugua.
On Facebook?
On Facebook is Kimani Mbugua, and on Twitter is Mr. Kimani Mbugua. Yeah.
Have it.
Mm.
Man, guys, I don't think I have anything else to add. that was that. But I think I'd say it's something very good for you to open up, because normally, and it's also interesting that you say your family has been there with you. I've not heard you say mtu alisema huwa amechizi tumwombe, amerogwa. You know, there are those things that will come and people will say. And I think I'm happy that your family stood by you and your friends too. Shout out to those friends, because nothing leaked.
Nothing
still
leaked,
there. Nothing leaked.
In fact, they were like, this is your story to tell.
Yeah.
Whenever you're ready to tell the story,
tell
you will tell it. But I have, please, watu wa SDA, tafadhali. Poleni. Alafu mwache kusema nilifutwa Citizen. Nisikufutwa Citizen. I was not fired at Citizen. I resigned at Citizen, and you never know. You'll see me back at some point.
So guys, as you've heard the story from Kimani, and he said you'll get, as in, don't feel like you're by yourself. And clearly we've been talking about mental health and how men go through it and don't talk about it. Us like ladies, I won't lie to you. Maybe if I have a problem even in the office, everyone will know I have a problem because I will say it. So men, be like Kimani.
Maybe I should recommend a book for everybody to read. Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. I think that's a really good book for someone who wants to understand the dynamics, how men and women are different. We are very different, and I think that book has helped me to understand how, as a man, I respond even in relationships. Like, it has helped me understand how I understand myself better as a man. So as a man, if you're suffering, I know it's hard. It's really, 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 really hard for a man to talk. And I thank God for my friends, especially everyone in the boys' club. They've been there for me, you know. They never made me feel alienated. They never stigmatized me. They never, treated me differently because of what I went through. They were always there and always supporting me. So it's important to have a group of strong friends. It's really important. Yeah. If as a man, make sure that half of the friends in your circle, you can talk to them about your problems.
Not drink.
Yeah, not just drinking. Yeah, not just drinking. Because I remember, actually, there's a time as a boys' club, we were just meeting for, drinking and all. But then we started now having like regular hangouts, as having, conversations and talking, knowing how somebody is doing in their life. And it has helped us grow as men individually, and that's fantastic. Yeah.
All right, guys, that has been Kimani Mbugua, his story. You've had it from the horse's mouth himself. From I and Kimani, I think for now we'll just say kwaheri.
All right, see ya.